We know we're interconnected. Part of a broader, ever more complex whole. It can inspire. It can overwhelm. It depends on how you see it. In confusion, you find connections. In complexity, understanding. You help us all work together to take better care, be healthier, happier, and do the right thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Suzanne Wilson Heckenberg, President of the Intelligence and National Security Alliance.
Good evening, and welcome to the 37th William Oliver Baker Award Dinner. Thank you all for joining us this evening to help INSA honor Governor Tom Ridge, the first Secretary of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. We will be sharing a lot more about Governor Ridge during the evening. Now please rise for the presentation of the colors by the Joint Armed Forces Color Guard. Following the national anthem, please remain standing.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallant gently streaming, and the rocket red glare, the bomb bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
That was wonderful. Now it's my pleasure to invite to the stage Monsignor Henry Kriegel, pastor of St. Patrick's Church in Erie, Pennsylvania, to give the invocation.
Creator God, we ask your blessing tonight, particularly on Tom Ridge, a man who has given himself tirelessly to this nation, to the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, in fact, to anyone who asks him. In this moment of inflammatory rhetoric, demonizing our political enemies, and endless conspiracy theories, his calm, level-headed voice of reason always brings us back to the realization that all is well. We are grateful for him, and we ask your blessing upon him and the food we are about to receive. Amen.
Thank you, Monsignor. Tonight's dinner has been, oh, you all can sit now. Sorry. Tonight's dinner has been many months in the making, made possible by the tremendous support of our membership. Thank you to the organizations who sponsored or purchased a president's level table, Accenture, Acclaim Technical Services, Auburn University, Advantis, BAE Systems, Boeing, Day & Zimmerman, Deloitte, Esri, Erie Insurance, Jacobs, L3 Harris, Leidos, Lockheed Martin, Mantech, Maxar, Microsoft Federal, MITRE, Peraton, Raytheon Intelligence and Space, RGI, SAIC, and Worldwide Technology and Dell Technologies. Join me for a round of applause. And as always, thank you to the Omni staff for being so accommodating. At your seats, you will each find copies of the books Western Pennsylvania Reflections, Stories from the Alleghenies by Colleen Clemens, and Flight 93, The Story, the Aftermath, and the Legacy of American Courage on 9/11 by Tom McMillan, courtesy of our literary sponsor, Raytheon Intelligence and Space. These books provide fascinating insights into Governor Ridge's home state of Pennsylvania and the events that led to his path-breaking role at the Department of Homeland Security. We are pleased to welcome members of the press this evening. As a reminder, the program is on the record and will be available on our website next week. And if you are tweeting, posting on Instagram, LinkedIn, remember the hashtag InsaBaker. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce the chair of INSA, Tish Long. Tish's accomplishments are many. In government, she served as the director of NGA, deputy director of DIA, principal deputy undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence, and deputy director of Naval Intelligence. Added to that illustrious resume, this year marks Tish's 7th year as chairman of INSA and my boss. Please join me in welcoming Tish and thanking her for all she does for INSA, the INSA Foundation, and the intelligence community.
Thank you, Suzanne, and thank you especially for that long hug while we put the box up. Okay. It is so good to see everyone. It's just so good to be back in person. I know we did a Baker dinner last September, but I have to tell you, I'm not sure we've had a Baker dinner this size. So welcome to everyone, and thank you all for being here. And of course, we are here to honor Governor Tom Ridge. Let me add my warm welcome here this evening and my thanks to all of the sponsors. I would like to acknowledge 2 former leaders of INSA and our predecessor organization, SASA, who are here with us tonight. The Honorable Jim Clapper, former Director of National Intelligence. Jim, if you could please stand. Jim was the SASA president in 1999. And the Honorable John Negroponte, also former Director of National Intelligence, and the INSA Chairman of the Board from 2011 to 2015. Thank you both so much for being here this evening. Also, a special thank you to the DoD Chief Information Officer, the Honorable John Sherman. And John, I'm sorry, I haven't had a chance to say hello this evening. I'll talk to you afterwards. Hello, John. I hope your lovely bride Liz is here. I think I see her. Hello, Liz. Let's see. My table mate, the NRO Director, the Honorable Chris Scalise. Chris, thank you for being here. The Assistant Secretary of State for Intelligence and Research, the Honorable Brett Holmgren. Brett, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. And to our many, many government friends and industry friends, thank you all for joining us this evening. And of course, to our honored guest, Governor Ridge, thank you for being here. Thank you for your decades of public service, and thank you for your leadership, your vision, and your love of country that were hallmarks of your career. We are so pleased to have you and your lovely wife, Michelle, here with us this evening, as well as your son, Tommy. And I hope you're enjoying the evening so far. I will have much more to say about Tom in the program ahead, but first, I would like to say a few words about our award's namesake. William Oliver Baker was that rare combination of scientist, strategist, executive administrator, mentor, and innovator. He joined Bell Labs in 1939, and over the course of his nearly 25-year career, he helped pioneer advancements in telecommunications, including the laser, satellite systems, and the Unix computer operating system, which set the foundation for the technologies and platforms that we all use today. His many contributions to national security inspired INSA to create the William Oliver Baker Award to recognize an extraordinary individual for their sustained contributions in intelligence and national security affairs. I hope you all had a chance to see the Baker Walk on your way in. Sponsored by Deloitte, the signage highlighted all the amazing women and men who have been honored with this award since the inception in 1994. I now have the pleasure to welcome Mara Motherway, Senior Vice President of Government and Customer Relations at Peraton, who will introduce previous Baker Award recipients who are here with us tonight. Mara.
Thank you, Tish, and good evening. It is an honor to be a part of this special occasion. As you have heard, for decades, the William Oliver Baker Award has honored exceptional leaders who have had profound impacts on the intelligence and national security affairs of the United States. It is my pleasure to recognize the Baker Award recipients who are here with us this evening. As I read your names, please stand and be recognized. 2002 recipient, the Honorable Charlie Allen. 2006 recipient, the Honorable James Clapper. 2007 recipient, Admiral Bill Studeman. 'We had a good friend and former colleague of Governor Ridge who was unable to attend tonight, but he did not want this auspicious occasion to go unmarked. In a letter, General Pat Hughes extends his congratulations to Tom and notes, "Your leadership by example and your direct involvement in the broad sweep of contemporary history has been exemplary in every way. You have generated inspiring loyalty and highest respect among those with whom you have served, including the infantry soldiers who you led in combat." He continues, "It was my honor to serve with and for you at the Department of Homeland Security, for which I will be forever grateful." What a wonderful sentiment from General Hughes. On behalf of Peraton Corporation, I extend my heartfelt congratulations to Governor Ridge on this well-deserved honor. Now I am pleased to welcome back to the stage INSA President Suzanne Wilson Heckenberg.
Thank you, Mira, and thank you to Peraton for your support of tonight's program. As many of you all know, last year we had the pleasure of launching the INSA Foundation's Investing in the Future of the IC Workforce Scholarship Program. We were pleased to offer 4 awards, 2 of which were reserved exclusively for individuals of color. We had an incredible response to our call for applications with more than 70 submissions in total. I know, because I reviewed them all. Our 4 award recipients embodied all that is good about this community and our country. And many of you may remember the heartfelt words last year from Trishi Malhotra, who spoke at last year's Baker Dinner. Her personal story and commitment to our nation's national security mission was truly inspiring. This year, we had the pleasure of adding to our awards program with the launch of the Letitia A. Long Endowed Scholarship, which honors our trailblazing chair, by providing assistance to an undergraduate woman studying science, technology, engineering, or math, and pursuing a career in national security or intelligence. Tish represents what is possible when you work hard, prioritize relationships, and say yes to the hard assignments, or a third term as chair of INSA. We were so pleased to recognize her impact on the intelligence and national security community through this scholarship while supporting our future female STEM leaders. And tonight, I have the pleasure of making a special announcement. Thanks to the generosity of an anonymous donor, we are pleased to establish into awards starting this fall the Governor Thomas J. Ridge Endowed Scholarship. This award will help an exceptional undergraduate student pursuing a degree in national security or defense studies to achieve his or her career goals. Governor Ridge, we are so pleased to be able to honor you and this extraordinary legacy with this award. All these awards are due to the generosity of our donors. You can support Governor Ridge's scholarship this evening, or any of the scholarships we now offer, by texting Baker 37 to 44321. That is Baker 37 to 44321. If you like, you can specify an award to support by adding the scholarship name in the dedicatee field. Every dollar goes to the scholarship funds, not operating expenses, and will help build a strong future for our national security workforce. Thank you all for your support, and now we will take a break for dinner.
Please welcome back to the stage Tish Long.
I hope everyone has enjoyed dinner and is still enjoying dinner, and that you have enjoyed the networking this evening. There are so many people out there still talking, so I'd say it's already been a successful evening. We have a lot more in store, so please take your seats so we can begin the tribute to Governor Ridge, which of course is the whole reason that we are gathered here this evening. The presentation of the William Oliver Baker Award Medal of Achievement. Tom, this incredible turnout tonight reflects the deep appreciation felt all across the community, all segments of our community, for your exemplary service to our nation. In case you didn't know, Governor Ridge grew up in Erie, Pennsylvania. He earned a scholarship to Harvard and was drafted into the U.S. Army during the Vietnam War, where he was awarded the Bronze Star for valor. Now, Tom was actually in law school at the time of the Vietnam War, and he could have sought a student deferment, but he was called to serve. And as would be repeated throughout his career, he answered that call. His extraordinary public service career spans more than 2 decades, from assistant district attorney to congressman to 2-term governor of Pennsylvania to the country's first secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. Even now, as co-chair of the Bipartisan Committee on Biodefense, Tom, you continue to serve. And along the way, you have made a name for yourself as a consensus-building reformer with a focus on results over partisan rhetoric, garnering respect from both sides of the aisle. And as evidenced by the large crowd here tonight, it is clear that your style of leadership is deeply valued, and I might add, sorely missed. We need a whole lot more of you, Tom Ridge. In just 2 short years at DHS, your unprecedented successes included developing a unified national response and recovery plan, instituting sweeping air, land, and seaport security strategies, and improving information sharing worldwide, while simultaneously driving the largest change management initiative of all time, quickly integrating 180,000 people from nearly 24 agencies and organizations, and creating a culture of change within that new department. Most importantly, you have lived by your values, treating people with dignity and respect, empowering your teams, and providing the opportunities and support for them to succeed, and always looking to build coalitions and partnerships, knowing that together we are stronger. Well done, Tom. I was deeply inspired by your message on the 20th anniversary of 9/11, where you asked citizens to remember our shared values. And if you all have not seen this video, you can Google it, it's on YouTube. But Tom, you said, and I quote, "At our country's worst moment, we survived on a diet of kindness, generosity, and compassion." You may not find those words in any national security plan, but I can assure you those concepts are just as critical to our national resilience as any component of national defense. Kindness, generosity, and compassion. I think we could use a little bit more of that today as well. Indeed. Tom, on behalf of INSA and on behalf of everyone in this room this evening, thank you. Thank you for all you have done in service to our nation and for the kind, generous, and compassionate way in which you led. I would also like to say a big thank you to your wife, Michelle, your son, Tommy, here this evening. I know we don't do what we do on our own. It is the family that supports and sacrifices as well. So please, a round of applause for Michelle and Tommy. INSA has produced a video that showcases Governor Ridge's storied career and legacy. Before we play it, I would like to thank our video sponsor, BAE Systems, as well as the INSA team, videographer Brian Watkins, Mark Holman, and all of Governor Ridge's former colleagues for contributing to the video. And I now ask that everyone please direct your focus to the screens.
A few moments ago, something believed to be a plane crashed into the south tower of the World Trade Center. I just saw flames inside. You can see the smoke coming out of the tower. We have no idea what it was. It was a tremendous boom just a few moments ago.
Today, we've had a national tragedy. 2 airplanes have crashed into the World Trade Center in an apparent terrorist attack on our country.
I could close my eyes and recall flying into Shanksville, and there were a lot of emergency responders present in the field. They had rushed to the scene hoping they could help. Obviously, there's nothing they could do. Like a lot of Americans, I was angry. There's melancholy, there's sorrow for these good people, and you realize what happened in the towers and the Pentagon by then.
Once the shock of the attack was over, yes, people started realizing that the two oceans that had separated us from the rest of the world and the two countries in North and South who were our partners, that we were vulnerable. I think that was the first time America realized that how vulnerable they were.
Laura Bush was kind enough to come in for a memorial service. I remember my wife, Michelle, saying, whatever Tom and I could do to help you, support you and the president under these challenging times. And a couple of days later, the president gave me the phone call and asked me to come down to Washington. He had something in mind. He was pretty strong in his conviction. We have to make sure that this never happens again. We have to be prepared. The notion that the president would have entrusted to me the responsibility to pull together a team to achieve his goal of providing another layer of defense, and grateful for the opportunity to build it with so many extraordinary patriots. They were, patriots all.
Tom, you came to Washington to help us at a time when 9/11 had shaken our country to its very core. We had no homeland apparatus whatsoever. We couldn't talk to governors. We didn't know how to mobilize for a crisis within our borders brought by the horrors of an attack, the first attack on our capital and surrounding territory since the War of 1812.
Tom Ridge was willing to, after a distinguished career in politics, step into the role of leading this very large agency, and really did, in my judgment, provide the American people with a level of assuredness and projected confidence and strength.
It was a challenging time to figure out first what we needed to do. If you think about the first team in the White House, you've got all this anxiety going on, and you had to figure out what the scope of the mission was. Let's define it. You had to figure out how to go about addressing that, and you had to increase security at the same time. And then you had to explain this to people. You couldn't just go off and do it. You had to explain this to people to try to convey some reassurance. At the same time, we all knew the world had changed forever.
Governor Ridge is tall, he's a big man, and they put him in one of these smallest offices. And I came in, and whenever he stood up, he almost hit his head. And so it was a humble start, but it really shows the commitment that Governor Ridge had to the mission.
The president stuck his head in the door one day, right across from the side entrance of the Oval Office. He said, "Ridgie, location, location, location."
I want to congratulate my friend Tom Ridge for winning the William Oliver Baker Award. I've known Ridge for a long time. Tom Ridge is a patriot. He's a friend. I was proud to have him by my side as the first director of Homeland Security. Tom knows what he's doing in life, and I want to thank you for awarding him the Baker Award. God bless you, my friend.
Tom Ridge is like the George Washington of the Department of Homeland Security. He was stepping into the unknown. He was stepping into the responsibility for counterterrorism, aviation security, maritime security, port security, border security, overseeing the Coast Guard, overseeing the counterterrorism mission, overseeing TSA, overseeing the Secret Service, overseeing FEMA.
In many ways, we were actually redesigning, if you will, the notion of what happens at the federal level has to find its way to the private sector and to the gubernatorial level at 50 different states, because there is absolutely no way, with the nature of the threat that we're dealing with, for somebody in a federal establishment to cover all the bases.
Secretary Ridge understood how important the morale of the new agency was going to be. And so he worked hard at it, both bringing the leadership together to define the mission, our priorities, and making that inclusive, but then also to the agents in the field. He knew how important it was that they bought into the new philosophy of Homeland Security and the new mission. So he spent time with them as well.
We took maybe 60 people or so representing all the agencies that were coming in our direction. And we went to that offsite with the intention of trying to design our own sense of mission, and it was the means by which the team was galvanized to get done what needed to get done, such that your little agency peak about we never used to do it that way could get mollified by the understanding of on the part of that agency that it was now part of a bigger challenge. And their requirement was to blend to the bigger challenge, not to be a pain in the ass about what they used to do or how they used to do it.
Tom Ridge could use as his middle name the word share because that's been his mantra from the beginning.
Remember, the first response was there was resistance. We need better coordination, better collaboration, better communication. Check, check, check. I got it. That's where I go from need to know. Hell, you don't need to know. You need to share because the private sector can help you if you trust them with the information.
Then you have to figure out how to do that, which it's cultural differences between agencies. It's even thinking about that. And are you giving away intel, right? And we all go through our security briefings and understand the importance of what can be shared and what can't be and those limits. But you have to push that in the appropriate way if you're going to engage with, a much broader network of people who can respond.
He was in part driving the effort to tear down those silos and to create more collaboration. And that realization that it was so important as we created this new agency was really one of the highest priorities for many of us.
There were several times, numerous times, that we had key threat intelligence coming in that pertained to a sector or a city that needed to be disseminated. And Governor Ridge, Secretary Ridge, would go to his counterpart and work with them to get it declassified so that threat intelligence became threat information, was able to be disseminated.
He is a great leader and inspires a lot of passion and commitment from the people that serve. And one of the big reasons is he has a bias for action. Let's try things. Let's be courageous. Let's do things that are meaningful. Let's be transparent and truthful. Let's be ethical. And let's go take the hill. And we're all empowered to do that. He listens incredibly well, and he supports you in taking initiative. I mean, that's a really powerful leadership quality, and it's the reason people were very passionate and proud to serve under his leadership.
Governor Ridge as a leader has been very empowering. We agree to a mission, and he empowers the people that work with him to go and do their job, and he supports them.
We had a huge responsibility to put together a system that checked in and checked out all of the international visitors coming to America. It's called U.S. Visit. And he entrusted me to get it done, and he held me accountable. But the key thing in government is that people have to make decisions, and he empowered me to make decisions, and then he backed me up. And I'll never forget, that was a key to success for Homeland Security, is the trust that he placed in those that served with him. And he's a great leader, he's a great friend, and he's a great patriot.
I have grown to think of him as Teddy Roosevelt's man in the arena. A great example was the Homeland Security Advisory System that he instituted, the color code system. He understood that the federal government had a responsibility to not only state and local officials and territory officials, but to citizens, to put this unforeseen new threat into context so they could understand it. Sure enough, when it was implemented, not only did he get criticized by the Washington bureaucracy, but he became the fodder of of late night TV host. Now, I watched him during this period, and he didn't get upset. He laughed with them because that's just him. It told me early on that Tom Ridge was a man who always would do the harder right over the easier wrong.
I think Tom Ridge's legacy as the first Secretary of Homeland Security is to really establish the footprint for all the rest of us in how we went about the job. So much of the job is the public-private partnership. We spend so much time at DHS simply dealing with the private sector, whether it's Major League Baseball or the airlines, commercial airlines, or critical infrastructure, because it's fundamental to our Homeland Security that they work effectively, and Tom Ridge recognized that right out of the gate as the first Secretary of Homeland Security.
He had the charisma, the smile on his face in the middle of maybe the most complex thing you've ever talked about in your life. And he was saying, we're going to get through this. We're going to get through this and do it in a fashion that we're all going to be proud of at the other end of the day.
He loves America. His whole life is defined by public service, and he certainly demonstrated that in the post 9/11 environment in his service to our country.
Tom Ridge's legacy can be summed up in one word, and that's leadership.
He understands the power of his office, that it's not about him, but his office can convey respect. I've stood with him at Coast Guard graduations. Every parent, every family member gets a picture. I mean, some of those things are just so dear to me that he takes that time to convey respect to whomever over and over again. I saw that, and I think it's very powerful.
If I use 3 words, it would be a man who cared. He cared deeply about his country. He cared deeply about ensuring that his country responds to crises that had never really presented themselves in this country before. He cared deeply for bipartisanship. He cared deeply for not only the people of Pennsylvania, but the people of South Dakota, my state, the people of California, the people of Texas. He cared. And because he cared so deeply, we are a better nation as a result.
Please welcome to the stage our 37th William Oliver Baker Award recipients, Governor Tom Ridge. Stand just, and please, well, actually, if you could remain standing. Continuing a Baker dinner tradition, an INSA intern will now read the formal award citation. The voice you will hear is that of Aaron Rosenthal, who will graduate next May from the Elliott School of International Affairs at George Washington University with a master's in security policy studies. So if you could please remain standing.
To all who shall see these presents, greeting. With highest esteem and profound admiration, the Intelligence and National Security Alliance is proud to recognize Governor Tom Ridge as the 37th recipient of the William Oliver Baker Medal of Achievement in recognition of his extraordinary contributions to the national and homeland security of the United States. Governor Ridge has repeatedly served our nation with distinction, including as an Army Staff Sergeant and recipient of the Bronze Star of Valor in the Vietnam War, as a 6-term member of the U.S. House of Representatives, and as the twice-elected governor of Pennsylvania. Following the tragic events of September 11, 2001, Governor Ridge answered the call to serve again, first as Assistant to the President for Homeland Security in October 2001, and then on January 24, 2003, when he was unanimously confirmed as the first Secretary of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. As DHS Secretary, he led the largest U.S. government reorganization since 1947, bringing more than 180,000 employees from a combined 22 components together as one agency dedicated to securing the nation's borders, improving the use of science and technology, strengthening partnerships, and forging a comprehensive response and recovery capability. His strong and resolute leadership during this time of great uncertainty resulted in safer skies, ports, and points of entry to the United States, more secure critical infrastructure, and enhanced cooperation between the public and private sectors. A tireless advocate for America's 9/11 heroes, Governor Ridge co-chaired the fundraising effort that led to construction of the Flight 93 National Memorial in Pennsylvania. Governor Ridge's unwavering commitment and service to the nation has been an inspiration to those who have served with him. His accomplishments, dedication, love of country, and legacy of service will inspire Americans for generations to come. Given by hand this day of May 14th, 2022 in Washington, D.C., Letitia A. Long, Chair.
Let me begin by expressing my sincere appreciation and gratitude to the Board of Directors and to this extraordinary organization to be part of this celebration this evening. I consider among dozens of patriots all. It's an honor to be with you this evening. Thank you very much. Tish, Suzanne. To my friend Monsignor Kriegel, my home community of Erie, Pennsylvania, thank you for your kind words. He's a blessing in our community. He's been a blessing in my life, as you can well imagine. And ladies and gentlemen, if I might first observe with that wonderful video and the citation, if you listen carefully, you understand Ridge can't hold a job. He's been bouncing around the public service for a long time. But I'd like to acknowledge the kind words that my colleagues who presented during that video. Now you see the quality of the men and women with whom I was associated during my days at DHS. You're only as good as the people around you, and I hope you got a sense of the quality of the men and women I was privileged to surround myself with at DHS during that video. I have to tell you a quick story. My friend Asa Hutchinson, I think you'll enjoy this. I love Asa. You'll appreciate this. The intelligence suggested there were
3 flights coming from, on 3 flights, excuse me, I'll get around to it in a second, initiated in 3 countries. The airlines were country-controlled airlines. And I said to them, and Mark Holman said it correctly, if you've got quality people around you, you can delegate with confidence, which I did. I said, you call that airline and you call that airline. And I don't want to offend anybody here. I said, don't go through the State Department. Just call them. And so Asa called. I won't tell you the country Asa called. I love Asa. Asa reported, I said, how'd it go? He said, Tom, he said, I got pushback. I was told, this is a matter of sovereignty. You can't tell us we can't fly. I said, okay, Asa, what'd you tell them? He said, I recognize it's a matter of sovereignty. I'm just going to tell you you can't land. That's the quality of people I had around me in the period of time. And you know, the kind words from my friend Pat Hughes, we'll mention later on in my remarks. He's the only person I've ever met who could possibly give you a briefing about the threat. Your first inclination might be hide under the table, but you'd be laughing all the while. He brought a sense of humor to everything he did. I learned a lot from Joe Rosick. I mentioned he was there, and from my friend Pat Hughes. I know many of you know General Hughes. Listen, I'm honored to be here tonight. These days, I'm happy to be anywhere. When you have a stroke, you wake up to a new reality, and you're grateful that you wake up to a new reality, trust me. Everyone's barking orders. Raise your left arm, now the other. Tell us your name, what day of the week is it, who's president, blah, 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 blah. You got that? So, under these circumstances, I remind myself, you saw that one photograph of yours truly dressed in Southeast Asia. I'm reminding myself of a favorite expression a lot of men and women, a lot of soldiers heard in Vietnam. Take 2 salt tablets and drive on, and you're not authorized to whine. Move. I'm grateful for the kind words of my friend President Bush. He is one of 2 presidents who absolutely changed my life. The first was President Nixon, who sent me a personal invitation of sorts to go to Vietnam. I got to tell you, I didn't receive my draft notice with the same applause. My younger brother at the time thought it was pretty cool. His older brother got a letter from the president. You know, many of you know, I was honored to work from time to time and know Papa Bush, I say that affectionately, and then ended up working for his son. I had to write this down because I remember this very vividly. When President George W. Bush asked me to come to Washington, I remember meeting him in the White House. He said, Ridgie, I need someone like you for the position, and you are the person most like you that I know. How do you get around logic like that? He had me. He's got a fabulous sense of humor. I saw him several weeks ago. He came to my home community for remarks. We're walking across the hallway. I was honored to serve with this man and the extraordinary cabinet he put together. Ridgie, you're alive. I said, I'm happy about that too, Mr. President. Thank you. It was a great honor for me to be selected to work with such an extraordinary group of men and women to set up the department. I don't know if any of you know, she worked in the National Security Council. Another friend of mine, Lisa Gordon Haggerty, she was with the NSC. Went down to the sit room the first couple of days I was there. And if looks could kill, I wouldn't be here today. Because I know she was thinking, oh God, I got another rookie I got to brief. I was grateful she did. I was grateful she stayed and supported DHS, as so many other people in the administration did. I must tell you, if I think back of those days, when you're a new guy, new blood in this town, in Washington, D.C., they're poking and probing and talking to everybody you knew and everybody who thought they knew you to try to do a profile on you, right? So a lot of people said, there's this big guy, he's 6'3", he must have been an athlete. Little did they know, I got cut from the 2 teams I went out for in high school. But I was a star, not a star, I was a significant figure in the senior class play. I played Mortimer in the production of Arsenic and Old Lace. How do you think America would have felt a guy by the name of Mortimer being in charge of Homeland Security? It's probably a good thing that never got to the news media. And later on, as you well know, came a press briefing to unveil the color-coded threat advisory system. The much maligned threat advisory system, I'd add. My theory is, if you're laughing at it, you probably paid attention to it. And there was plenty of laughter. Fortunately, I never got the royalties from Saturday Night Live that I deserved. Conan O'Brien, I remember one of his quotes. It was, green is good, red's not so good, and champagne, chartreuse, you're under attack by Martha Stewart. As you can well imagine, when there's a new organization in town, particularly a new cabinet position, there are some jurisdictional issues, I'll put it mildly. And certainly have different points of view. I had the pleasure of working those years with John Ashcroft. I remember one day I did the Today Show, and my assessment of that situation was closer to green, and later in the day, his assessment was probably closer to red. President Bush was not happy. And I can say, I tell my son and daughter, you don't know that many people have been taken to woodshed by the President of the United States. But he must say he did it in a kinder, gentler way. He just said, just don't let it happen again. I will always be grateful to my fellow cabinet members and other colleagues in those early years after 9/11. Many of you, I don't know how many of you in this room got involved in my daily briefings. I suspect many of you in this room were involved in the daily threat matrix I was able to receive. Let me be very, very clear. One of the many, many reasons this is such a high honor for me is I got a chance, unlike most Americans, to understand in a much more intimate detail the work of the intelligence and the national security community every day goes through to make us safe and secure. I always thought one of the greatest, I'm reminded, a couple people asked me way back then, what kept you awake at night? The first answer might have been complacency, but I knew the people in the intelligence and the national security community were not complacent. They were hard at it 24/7. I'm reminded of what my friend John McCain once responded to that. He said, I sleep well at night. He said, I sleep like a 2-year-old. I get up every 3 or 4 hours and cry. I never had any reason to cry because I saw, unlike any other citizen saw, day in and day out, how much work many of you in this room were doing and your colleagues throughout government were doing. I'll always be very, very proud of that association with all of you. Whether you know it or not, we're connected. I understand that one of the marvelous things about this award is I get invited back next year, so I can continue to celebrate your significant contribution to America's safety and security. Thank you. I had an exceptional team. You saw Admiral Jim Loy, an invaluable colleague, steward, and friend since our first conversation. Many of you know my dear friend, General Pat Hughes, and you saw my buddy, Joe Rosick. As a drama club guy, Mortimer, I relied heavily on their intelligence assessments. I tell you, one of my favorite Pat Hughes stories is, here's something that this group probably appreciates more than the average citizen might, so I'm going to bore you with one more Ridge story. There was a conflict between General Hughes' point of view and another agency's point of view in terms of the nature of the threat assessment. I said, General, we got to resolve this because I got to go brief the president tomorrow. He said, okay, I got it covered. Because of the mutual respect these two individuals had for each other and their service with one another in support of America, they were able to come to a point where I was able to give that intelligence briefing with great comfort and with great specificity. I'll never forget that. It wouldn't happen. There were divergent points of view, but they understood I was the guy that was going in the next day to brief the president. So they had better give me a picture that was accurate, that I'd be comfortable presenting to the president. And because of the mutual respect that people in the intel community and national security community had, this instance was the intel community they had for Pat, and he had for them, we worked it out. The other Pat Hughes story I'd love to tell you, we had a surveillance camera along the Canadian border. There was a really granular photograph. It appeared there were some individuals potentially on the border with weapons, maybe crossing the border with weapons. And General, you said, let me take a look at this. Let me go talk to our Canadian officials. Let me look at that. I'll tell you what's going on. And he did. So I was able to tell the president the next day that along the border, somebody was holding, it was a paintball battle. Thank goodness. It was a bit much, but I raised that to show you the quality of the leadership I had around me. None more important than Pat Hughes, General Hughes. I've overextended my time, but I got them. One problem is you gave me a microphone. Let me finish with a few final remarks, all right? I'd like to recognize my extraordinary wife, Michelle, who knew all about public service. Were they helping me throughout my entire time in public service when fighting terrorists? These days, while fighting to get a shirt over my head or my socks on, her love and support has been constant. You saw my son help me up here. I've been blessed with two extraordinary children, Leslie and Tommy. Tommy was here, he's helping me around tonight, with his buddy, who was a distinguished graduate, Brian Sarabian from the Tom Ridge School of Intelligence Studies from Mercyhurst University in Erie, Pennsylvania. Hoorah! I wish my friend Susan Neely, my head of public affairs, would have been with us this evening, but if she was here, I can promise you that after my speech this evening, if there's any media here tonight, she'd run over to the media and she would use her signature opening phrase, what the secretary meant to say. Sometimes after my public remarks, I'd have to ask her what I meant to say, just to be sure I meant what I thought I said. So many friends and faces have come across my path of public service, and I'm grateful for them every step of the way. Because I think everyone in this room understands, just as Patrick Henry did, united we stand, divided we fall. Let us not split into factions, which undermines the union, which is so important to our existence. In unity, we're strong. We have been, we always will be. One of the other reasons we will always be strong is because the men and women in this room, because you go about hard work worth doing. One of my very, very favorite presidents is 26th President Teddy Roosevelt, who once observed, by far and away, one of the best prizes in life is hard work worth doing. And if you're involved in the Intel national security arena, that's hard work worth doing. Patriots all. Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you. In summer used to be the favorite few words in my remarks. I attended a roast of CBS's 60 Minutes producer Don Hewitt one time. He looked in the audience, he said, "Mr. Secretary, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be protecting us from Armageddon. You need your rest, and I'm personally going to tuck you into bed." For the record, he did not. What he didn't know that I knew in a very personal way, that we had legions of men and women protecting us. Many of you are in this room. That dinner that night was much like this one. We all laughed, we had a good time. We knew there were threats at our doorstep and there were work to be done. But we all knew that far and away the best prize that life has to offer is a chance to work hard at work worth doing. And protecting America will always be hard work worth doing, and I thank you for your service. Thank you again for this wonderful award. Please know that I accept it with humility. It's an extraordinary honor. I'm humbled by it, and I accept it with humility and gratitude. But I'm going to share it with all of you, with all who served with me, my peers, my DHS team, my family, and my fellow citizens. God bless you. May He continue to bless the greatest country on the face of this earth. Thank you for this recognition this evening. God bless you all.
Please welcome to the stage Adam Rudo, INSA board member and Executive Vice President and GM for Mantech, to lead our celebratory toast.
Thank you.
Great job. Great job.
It's a sincere honor to be here with all of you tonight. On behalf of Mantech, I would like to thank INSA for another terrific Baker Awards dinner and for the opportunity to celebrate our guest of honor, the Honorable Tom Ridge. As we've already heard so eloquently tonight, Governor Ridge has repeatedly served our nation with distinction. His extraordinary tenure as the first Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security has left a lasting historical legacy. Governor Ridge's deep love of country and steadfast commitment to the people who served alongside him embody the example that William Oliver Baker set for all of us. It is fitting that we honor him tonight. And Governor, congratulations on the INSA Foundation endowment in your name. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join us in raising a glass as we toast Governor Tom Ridge. Cheers.
Thank you. Thank you. To all the patriots in attendance, thank you. Thanks, Bob. Thanks, son. Thank you very much. Thank you. I don't get an opportunity. I would like to raise my glass and toast to you for your service. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you for your service. Yeah, quick photo. I want people to know that I drink.
Good evening, everyone. I'd just like to go ahead and thank our sponsors once again for their support of this evening. We could not put on an event like this without them. Kudos to our events team, led by the incredible Toya Cribbs. They put in countless hours to make this evening a memorable event. Also, thank you to our amazing INSA interns for assisting along the way. I hope to see many of you at our after hours event. Thanks to Maxar for sponsoring this. If you'd like to see us for after hours, that'll be in the sunken dining room area in the main lobby. Thank you for joining us. Good night, and we hope to see you again next year. Thank you.